What you're about to see is a remote viewing session that was done totally blind by the remote viewer. Now, I'm going to tell you what the target is so that you can follow along, but remember the remote viewer does not know this target when they're describing what the session is all about. And at the end of the session, we will tell the remote viewer what the target was so that you can actually see the response. So the target for this session is the death of Jeffrey Epstein. And we're going for the moment of death for Jeffrey Epstein. So one thing that's different about this from when we did this long ago is that with this particular targeting, we're using what we call anti-blocking techniques so that people or AIs or any type of extraterrestrial influence cannot stop us from seeing what actually happens. So this is a little different from the original project we did on Jeffrey Epstein years ago, where we did not use the anti-blocking techniques. In addition, we're going after the actual moment of his death so that we can see how he actually died. All right, so this is the death of Jeffrey Epstein.
All right, Intysam. So just to be clear, you do not know the identity of the target?
I do not.
All right, fantastic. And so you have a great session here. So how about we just start off with the general environmentals you have here on page 4 and page 5?
Sure. So the general environment that I was picking up at this target was like an urban environment. I could see like foliage scattered about. The structures, there's many structures here. It just looks like, like a city, you know, structures, subjects all over, a lot of movement. It's kind of loud here. I could hear like voices. The topography is slightly irregular. From a distance, when I close up, the immediate environment looks quite level. There is some water here somewhere, cold temperatures, and there's a focused gathering somewhere. And I was also picking up, there's a structure that stood out to me was this domed structure here.
Interesting. All right, fantastic. So focus gathering, dome structure, a bunch of rectangular structures, very cool. All right, so let's, I know you went to the center of the target. You focused in on the target subject at focus 1. So what did you get there?
For this target subject, I picked up an older subject, male. Their midsection, belly area was quite round. Light skin tone, but somewhat tanned, and I deducted Trump probably because of this. Their hair is short and quite straight. Their face has wrinkles, like around their forehead, eyes, cheeks. It's like blue clothing on them, I guess. I couldn't quite tell. All I feel is like the clothing is somewhat soft, and they're wearing pants and then a shirt type of thing. Larger body mass, but here, see the larger body mass, I don't know if it's like the subject is overweight or they're just like anatomically a large person. So I'll leave that open. And they give off a certain intensity or seriousness.
Interesting. All right, so good sketch as well for subject A. Let's jump into the deep mind probe on the next page. So what'd you start picking up when you dove into the mind?
I picked up a really restless person. It feels like they're thinking about what's going on around him, and emotions of stress are coming up. Various subjects are inside his mind, and right after thinking about those subjects, gets really angry. He starts, getting agitated. There's something that's weighing down heavily on this subject's mind, something about his surroundings, and just in general, feelings of stress, like negative emotions, stress and dread. He's stressed out.
Interesting. So I know you continue the deep mind probe onto the next page. What else did you start figuring out as you kept diving?
Well, at this point, I'm trying to gauge the subject's immediate surroundings. Looking around, I could see a smooth floor, light-colored or white-colored walls, and there is more than one subject around him. Looking around, I could see like 3 others that are in close proximity with this subject. It seems like one of them looks quite lean. The other one is muscular, like pressing down on their body feels hard. So I thought that was like muscles or something. And then there's a softer, rounder bodied subject. And these subjects, their clothing looks quite similar, I'd say.
Interesting. All right. That's fascinating. So I know you went into a little bit more of this deep mind probe with subject A being the target subject, the same guy that you've been focusing in on. What else were you picking up as you probed a little bit more into that deep mind?
So I could sense that he's feeling negativity. The air here started to feel electric. So there was a sense of danger, and subject A was giving off fear and panic, and he was like shocked. He starts thinking back to several scenarios, and he feels angry and betrayed. I deducted Epstein and Bill Clinton.
Interesting. Okay. That's fascinating. So what about the activity? You start probing for actual activity going on here at the target. So what activity happened?
It was quite a physical type of activity, like a physical interactions with the subjects. So before the subjects were in close proximity, but now they're even closer. They've zoned in, and subject A is right in the middle of all the subjects, and there's movement. It feels like a physical altercation. There's kind of like you can see arms, like in the cartoons, where the characters are having a fight and all you see is like a cloud with like body parts poking out. It was something like that. If it's just like arms, elbows moving back and forth, it looks like a fight to me. It looks like a fight against subject A, because afterwards there's 3 subjects that are still standing and then A is on the floor.
I see. So it's a 3-on-1 physical altercation you saw.
Yeah, they're beating him. That's a high level deduction, but that's what it looks like.
It looks like they're beating him. Okay,
yeah.
Fascinating. So you have a couple of sketches. I mean, it really just show you got 3 subjects approaching another subject, and the other subject is lying on the ground, and I see you say he's unconscious or dead, and then the other subjects are standing up, just like you said. Any other descriptions about the room or any other things about looking into subject B? I know you looked into the other subject, one of the other subjects who was there, and you did a bit of a deep mind probe. So what else did you get about the room and looking into subject B later?
I mean, the room looks, there's just objects around, something like a window there. Subject B whoever subject B is leaning, is like looking down, and still, I don't know what he's doing. He's just, physically, he's kind of still interacting. Subject A at this point, he's laying down completely flat on the ground. And I don't know if he's unconscious or if he's dead, but he's not moving. And there's like, I can't tell,
Interesting.
Yeah.
And subject B, C, and D are those 3 subjects, correct?
Right.
The ones who beat up subject A?
And then, yeah, exactly. And subject C is holding something in his hand, an object.
I see. Okay. And when you deep mind probe subject B on the last page, what did you feel there?
I just got a sense of shadows and darkness. Yeah, like his mind felt quite blank or emotionless.
Interesting. And looking also, I guess the last thing I'll ask about is, so looking at this sketches you have of the room, you've got just sort of a mess, some objects, and this grid pattern on one side of the room that you've drawn a couple times.
Yeah, I did draw it a few times. Subject A is laying down. Around him, it's a huge mess. There's just objects all over the place here. There's like a surface that's a little higher. I don't know if that's a table or a chair or a bed, whatever. It's just a higher surface. And then grid-like thing. And then while inside the room, you can see outside.
Interesting. So the grid-like pattern, that's not the window. You have another thing that's a window that you can see outside.
Yeah, on this particular sketch, there is a grid-like pattern somewhere on the right side of the room, and then there's a window. And from that window, I can see outside through it.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, just to clarify once more, you do not know the nature of this target. All of this was done completely blind?
Completely blind, yeah.
All right. Fantastic. So, are you ready to hear the target for the target reveal?
Yes, I am.
All right. Fantastic. So, the target for this subject, the target for this session was the death of Jeffrey Epstein, and this was focusing specifically on the moment of the death, the actual death of Jeffrey Epstein. Now, let me just actually hand you the paper right here. So we really focused on the mechanism of the death in this particular project, the actual how Jeffrey Epstein died. We have focus 1, the death of Jeffrey Epstein. The target time was the moment of actual death for Jeffrey Epstein. The target subject A being Jeffrey Epstein, obviously. And yeah, that's pretty much what we focused in on. And this was, I mean, you have a grid pattern. I mean, the guy was supposedly in jail, and you have a grid pattern. So that matches up with the environmentals perfectly. And yeah, any other questions or comments? You got a great description of a man dying. So
Oh yeah,
it's
he is
pretty
dead,
much,
isn't he? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he got murdered.
Yeah,
He got murdered for sure, and he didn't even see it coming. That's the thing.
And he's got 3 people sort of ganged up on him in a prison cell and just killed him. So it's that seems like what happened. So based on your session. So yeah.
I mean, I did deduct Epstein, so there's
did deduct
part
that.
of it that was like this guy. I mean, the sketch, it looked like him. Yeah.
And he's a tall person too. So you got
is he?
I think he's tall. I think he's like a pretty tall person. Probably.
Well, he seemed large.
Yeah,
he seemed large.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't just die, clearly, right? Like, this is besides the session. You know, I'm talking about like what was publicized in the news. They were just like, oh, he dead, you know? Yeah, how? You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
This particular story pisses me off a lot, so it's good to have the confirmation that, yeah, he didn't just drop dead and die. He was clearly murdered, you know, and he didn't even see it coming.
Yeah. So that was great. That was a fantastic session, and death of Jeffrey Epstein. Any questions or comments?
We want justice. That's all.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you very much, Intysam, and on to the next one.
On to the next.
Yeah.